Big fight at Bengals practice between the Bengals and the Rams coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmanzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man.
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Well. Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. He is Zim Hude. I am Ace Boogie. We are your hosts. Zim, not slow news day, right? Not too much happening at Bengals camp today.
Not that much, nothing, nothing a little bit of bodyguard action can't handle. I feel like we had 2 days where boys got some work in. They calling my phone. They're like, Zim, you should be in outrage. You da-da-da-da. And I'm like, hey, I don't know what to tell you. We was out there doing what we were doing and handling business as far as I'm concerned. We got a lot to talk about. I'm sweating. I'm fresh from the fight myself. So, it's going down. I told people it's savage mode. Like it's going to be some different things
Aaron
happening.
Donald swing at you? I think he was aiming at you, man.
I'm ducking on. I'm ducking all them every single time, bro. Like they've been trying to catch me online all this time. I just been moving, and that's what we did today. Well, somebody got their head cracked with that. We'll get into it.
For sure. We definitely get into that. Obviously, things got very heated on day 2 of the Bengals Rams practice. It's going viral right now. So you guys will definitely get myself and Zim's thoughts on that. How we feel like the outfall or the results of this will go moving forward, what our thoughts are on it. We'll also talk about more outside of the fight that happened during the joint practices, some of the plays and things of that. And then we will get into the game itself, what to watch for with the Bengals versus the Rams coming up next on the podcast. All right, Zim, let's get right into it. It started with things getting very chippy on day 2. La'el Collins got into a bunch of different kind of scuffles, was removed, brought back on the field. Then all chaos broke loose with Aaron Donald swinging Bengals helmets at players. He's possibly facing a possible suspension, as some of that video was actually sent out to ESPN and has circulated. There's been insiders that expect him to face a suspension. For me, I think that this is the chippiness that the Bengals needed. I'm not condoning fighting or anything like that, but La'el Collins is a guy that is nicknamed the bodyguard. This was one of the things, one of the toughness, the things that he was going to bring to the team. I think early on, when some of the offensive linemen got into it with guys, he kind of championed that those offensive linemen needed to be tough, right? And then you talk about us going against a team that they just went against in the Super Bowl. I don't think that this is a surprise that these two teams got into it with emotions flying high. Obviously, you have guys like Jalen Ramsey and guys like that know how to test guys. So this, for me, wasn't a surprise. What were your thoughts on things getting chippy from day 2?
Man, look, we had the show on Tuesday. I straight up said Aaron Donald is a guy that has a long history of this. Like, if it's like I knew that tempers could flare. This type of stuff happens at group practices. I wasn't shocked by it at all when it came through. Like I said, we over here, we're breaking the internet on Twitter Spaces. We were doing a live from there, and we started getting the reports, and then we got a video. Shout out to my man D Payne, was one of the first people that posted it. He going super viral. I went to the gram with mine. We're going viral like with the video itself, but putting it out there, getting it out there, and we're just giving people like a lot. We had guys on the bridge giving us reports. We going in for Bengals content, and I don't think there's any other like community that's as strong as the Bengals right now. But I just feel like I said on Tuesday, he's got a history of this. It's not new to me. I thought it was taboo to say like he's a dirty player, but there are many people that have questioned him before. And I remember on the show, I was like, I'm not going to say he's dirty, but I said, this the type of stuff that he does. And so now they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, so I wasn't shocked. The old school in me says, no harm, no foul. We get working, whatever. The newer modern, I know the outcry. You're not going to catch me with no assault charge. I'm not that guy. I'm sorry. But I will say this. Had he hit somebody, struck somebody, knocked them out, swung it, broke a person's hand, I would be pissed.
Right.
But just the fact of I've been on a football team where you got in fights. I don't remember somebody swinging a helmet. I think you got to be better than that. This is like one of the greatest players of all time. In the heat of a moment, I guess, this is how it goes. The one thing that I just keep on thinking about is this. Imagine if a Bengals player did that. Imagine if a Bengals player was the person that swung the helmet. I already come on the internet every day and they say I'm poverty and they remind me of Burfict or whatever. Imagine that. And I just think that there's going to be some that will have an outcry for it. I'm not really in the company that just feels like this guy should be suspended for X amount of time or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think that you do need to make an example of him. And I think maybe it's not the league because as far as I'm concerned, I don't remember a time where they held precedent over suspending somebody for practice. Usually that's team controlled and everything like that. Right. I think that they should, just for, PR standpoint and doing the right thing, say somebody did get hurt. I'm thinking like suspend 1 game or 2 games at the most. Like that's where I would be at, or a very hefty fine. He donates to charity, does, the whole whatever. But honestly, bro, that's who he is to me. He's always been like that. It's not a shock. I don't feel like he'll learn anything from it. If you follow the history of Aaron Donald, you could just Google it. He does this type of stuff all the time. And my final thought is this. Steelers, for our whole entire lives, I went on a rant on this earlier. For my whole, they were like, Zim, aren't you going to be mad? I mean, this is crazy. I said, you know what? When I think about how I got here, I literally got thousands of followers just by exposing and showing what Steelers have done to us for years that the NFL will never cover, or all the blatant dirty hits and all the misfortunes of our franchise. I feel like I showed that my whole life. So then when somebody does it again to us or whatever, we just like, yeah, cool. We got the bodyguard out there now. Nobody got hurt. Who's next? And I really get angry about it because I'm like, if it wasn't Aaron Donald, I don't even know if anybody would have cared because they haven't cared about the Bengals all this time.
Yeah, I think for me, like you said, things flare up and happen in practice. A lot of things flare up and happen in games. I think a lot of people are given this traction because of the helmet coming off and the swinging of it, and because of what happened with Myles Garrett as well as Mason Rudolph in that incident. I honestly feel like that's a little bit of a different situation because, number one, that's a nationally televised game that's happening during the game. Everybody has all of those eyes on it. If it wasn't for this video leaking out, I'm not sure how many eyes there would actually be on it. Maybe because the video is out there, it does lead to a possible suspension. I think at the minimum, you probably give him a fine or something like that. I don't think that this should be something that should go into him being suspended multiple games. I think that for just a practice where, both sides got heated would be a bit much. But at the end of the day, the fact now, if he connected with someone with that helmet, then yeah. But
he did though. You don't hear the crack on the first one.
I hear the crack, but I don't know if it's hitting shoulder pads. I don't know if it's hitting another helmet. I feel like if
it sounded like he hit a helmet, bro.
To me, I feel like if he hit someone, that would be prime news coverage, and they would be taking pictures of that player. You would see the damage. That would be we would have seen it by now. I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I think if it was something to that level where he cracked somebody and let's say just broke a nose, I think that they would show it because I think if I'm not mistaken, when the Patriots had that fight, they even talked about a fan getting hurt. They were talking about how he had some kind of treatment that he needed. So I personally didn't see anybody saying that anyone needed treatment for it. But yeah, if he did connect, you definitely got to give him a game. But I think, it's a slippery slope if you're opening up suspensions for practice when we know guys have these fights all the time. And sometimes we don't know all of the details of what happened. And I think, like Zim said, if this wasn't Aaron Donald, like let's say this was Isaiah Prince versus some random guy on the Rams, would anybody even be talking about this story? Or if the helmet was taken off and swung? I don't think so. So, let's see what they do with it. I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL, with the lenses being on this, with the high profile characters, if it was a game. But I think it should probably be a fine, and maybe you sit him like the first half of a game or something like that, game one. But to take him out the entire game would be a little wild, I think, off of this. Now, I'm not trying to minimize it, but the fact
let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate. If somebody goes and I don't even want to compare it to like murder or something like that. But like an attempted, like say he connects with that, just because he didn't connect with it, you're saying that
if he connected with it, I think it's like 6 games. I think it's like 5 or 6 games. If he doesn't,
because to me, I feel like he hit. You know what I mean? I feel like.
But see, the thing is, I'm not trying to dry snitch, but he wasn't the only person swinging helmets out there. So right. They might review it and look at who else had helmets out there. And
I'm gonna tell you the only time that I ever remember somebody getting suspended for anything during practice. Do y'all remember when Geno Smith got his jaw broke?
Yeah.
Y'all remember like in the locker room or something? I remember the story vaguely. I should have probably looked at it before I went on air just now, but I was a little tied up getting out the scuffle. I was on trying to get Aaron Donald off my boys, but I just remember the Geno Smith journey. It's the only time
Aaron Donald off his back, right?
Off his damn, bro. It's so funny how many people was like, man, Bengals, y'all let Aaron Donald come out there. Like people, like I be telling you my friends and stuff, be like try to fake pick on me. They like, man, y'all let him come on the Cincy and come out there and just start whooping y'all. I'm like, what? He was on his back. I called my man. I'm like, what you talking about? We got the bodyguard. We out there. We knocking boys out. It's savage mode. I'm going crazy or whatever. So it's funny, but it's not funny because had he hurt anybody on that joint, I would be coming on here with a different type of energy. I will say that.
For sure.
I'd be like, damn, bro. Like, I cannot believe this dude just did that, messing up my season. If I lose a game or two on the strength of this idiot just hit somebody's helmet. Like, I just think about it swinging, hit somebody's hand. You break a bone in your hand, you out. You know what I'm saying?
That's very factual. We have 105 people watching live. We appreciate that. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, or else you're a fan of Aaron Donald. So I'm gonna give you guys 5 seconds to hit that subscribe button. It's that little button down in the corner. It's red. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. If you have not hit that subscribe button, you subscribe to Aaron Donald. You subscribe to throwing Bengals helmets at people. You don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that at all. But Zim, let's get away from the fight and let's talk about some of the other things that happened at the joint practices. Jamar Chase had a deep pass that he caught that would have been a touchdown, I believe, on Jalen Ramsey. T. Higgins had one, Tyler Boyd, things like that. What are your thoughts just going through the rest of what actually happened today on day 2? We did have some turnovers, so it wasn't all good, and the Bengals offense did get off to a slow start. But talk about some of the explosive things that happened today from what you heard on Twitter Spaces from camp.
Ryan, you got the clip pulled up from my Twitter where to show that the real reason why Aaron Donald was over there mad, because Kappa was out there strapping him up, locking him down. And one thing that's a little different this season is we got some dogs up front. Hey, look, we got some straight up dogs.
You got that dog in you like Stanley Morgan. Barking like Stanley.
Stanley Morgan, I was told, came out that tunnel yesterday looking like a man possessed. Today comes out there and lays the dude out on special teams. I thought one of the crazy things, the quote that came out of goodness gracious, there's so much going on in my head. What is Darren Simmons said, hey, I recognize that Hubert's been with us for 14 years, but like I got to do what's right for the team. I thought that was very telling on what he said and letting people know, get prepared. We might be in Drew Christmas season. I thought Kappa did a really good job in a couple different reps against Aaron Donald. If you're watching the YouTube, make sure y'all come on. If you're listening to the pod, make sure you come on the YouTube. Straight up, Kappa had a couple reps against him. I know Jeremy Rouch vouched for this one. This isn't the only time, but did a really good job against Aaron Donald. I thought that the Jamar Chase one for the last 2 days, he had 2 big deep bombs that connected on. Jalen Ramsey had some moments where he did well. I'm told Cooper Kupp did really well against Mike Hilton in coverage as well too. But Trey Hendrickson, BJ Hill, and Zach Carter, I'm talking about. I put some of them reps on my Instagram. So if you don't follow me at Zim_Hude, I'm talking about Zach Carter winning on some of them reps so fast. You like, oh no, like this, it looks like a complete match mismatch. Hendrickson identified for at least 3 to 4 sacks in any of the 11-on-11 stuff. I mean, it was good. Trey Hendrickson had a sack fumble today. So that was really good. You love to see that too. T. Higgins connected on a deep bomb as well. Both of these had Jalen Ramsey connected to it. So when we posted the clips talking about Jalen Ramsey, are you ready to get cooked? You came out to that jungle for real, and we left off where we came from the Super Bowl, and you absolutely did get cooked. I recognize there's going to be a Rams fan that's going to be like, imagine a Bengals fan talking about practice or whatever. Yeah, 2022, that's all I got right now, and we put you on the grill, cooked you, put you on a plane, packed your boy up, put him on his ass after you just try to assault people, and that's how we starting off the season on some savage mode.
Yeah, starting it off the Super Bowl with a one-handed catch. Then Jamar had another one-handed catch as pictured here from Kareem Al-Ghazar of the Enquirer with another one-handed catch on Jalen Ramsey. For me, it's just been crazy. Another thing, George Allen, last 2 days has really been showing out at practice. I thought that he played really well in the last preseason game as well. I think he's doing his thing. Also, we've been hearing as well about Dax Hill with them moving him all around. Like, that's going to be another thing that you got to look out for. Cordell Volson struggled a little bit day 1. Didn't get to hear much about him day 2 against Aaron Donald specifically. So not that he struggled in general. He just struggled, which everybody does, against Aaron Donald. But he is getting those reps against him. And then Hayden Hurst has been definitely looking like a guy that they're going to go to, and it's definitely going to be a focal point of this offense. We've talked about it. Joe Burrow even talked about it. Like, a lot of people aren't realizing how good he is going to be for us. In the Bengals defense, even the opposing coach himself, McVay, said that he wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals defense was one of a top unit in this season, because they were just doing a lot of things. We talked about Cheeto as well. Cheeto was doing this thing when he did have to cover Cooper Kupp. And for the Rams, they had some things like Tutu Atwell really kind of shine for them, did some things. They didn't have their running back in at practice. I believe he was out. Bengals were shutting down
Akers, I thought, was there.
I thought that they said something about Akers has changed his jersey number, and so
and it's another 23. All right,
some guy was wearing his jersey number, but they were shutting that down pretty much all of practice. So
I heard our run defense didn't allow anything like on any day.
The Super Bowl, just like the Super Bowl,
any day. I don't know now. Like, mind you, these are controlled practices, so coaches might just want to see certain looks. See, hey, look, how do we look? Even in a stack box, I just want to see how this looks. So I wouldn't buy in too much. I buy into like the one-on-ones, like mano a mano, because it's straight up whatever. A drop is a drop, a catch is a catch, that type of deal. But some of the stuff that I heard from the run game, they were like, Rams didn't get a single yard there, and they left off at where they were at the Super Bowl.
No, for sure. So definitely that one-handed catch by Chase and that bomb definitely brought a smile to my face. Zim, talk to us about our friends at Pierce Dental and how they bring smiles to the faces of people within Cincinnati and fix them.
Have you contacted Pierce Dental Group yet?
Oh, I'm definitely going to holler at him, like on that trip with fans of Cincy, one of those ones. I got to get my teeth right for that. So, yeah, I'll definitely be getting in touch with Pierce Dental in the next coming weeks, especially for the home opener, for sure.
The reason I asked you that is because I wanted the people to know, just because you're not in the Cincinnati region, Ohio region, or anything like that, doesn't mean that you can't go and get a free consultation at Pierce Dental Group. Need a dentist? Join Pierce Dental Group in Cincinnati, where confidence starts here. Get a free consultation. Just see what a cleaning looks like. They do great veneer work. They do lots of other things that can enhance your smile. If you want to take that next step to be the brightest smile in the room, go and holler at them people. I'm encouraging my buddy Ace here to go and make his way there when we do our meet and greet too. Nothing is wrong with your smile, friend, but we can always get our teeth clean.
I might have to get it brightened up. I mean, I'm looking at Pierce Dental and I'm looking at my teeth like, hey, you might be able to help me out with something.
Pierce Dental Group, when I look at a lot of Bengals that have changed it, I never thought that some of these guys had bad teeth. And then you see the pictures afterwards and you're like, whoa.
Like, maybe I do have something going on.
Yeah, you know, people, you might go 20, 30 years smiling in a picture a certain way, side smile, whatever, just because of one thing you don't like in your smile. So I think it's just a healthy exercise just to go check them out. Pierce Dental Group, great partner of the show. We love them. Holla at them.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk about the Raiders are already wanting to move on from Alex Leatherwood. This was a guy that was definitely heavily talked about in the Bengals community as a guy that we could take Chase in round 1 and possibly get Leatherwood in round 2, right? Now with there being a new regime in there, possibly exploring cutting this guy, trading him for a late round pick, I think the Bengals should be interested. I'm not saying that Leatherwood is a guy, right, that you should feel like can step in day one. I think he has that potential. That's one of the reasons he was a first-round pick. The reason I want Alex Leatherwood is you just suffered an injury to Isaiah Prince, right? So you need someone that can play that swing tackle. He was supposed to be a tackle. I believe they had him at guard, but he can play both. And when I look at the backup tackle positions, when you talk about a Lael Collins, when you talk about a Jonah Williams, two guys who have sometimes had question marks on durability, I would love to be able to have a guy like Alex Leatherwood to go to throw in there. Even if it comes down to him having to fight for one of these potential positions, whether it's Cordell Volson and him have to tangle, like he's just a guy that you could put at several positions, left tackle, right tackle, guard. I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense. If you're talking about sending a 6th-round pick for this guy, there's no way that you can tell me that anybody in next year's draft, whether it's a 5th-round pick, whether it's a 6th-round pick, is going to be the level of value of Alex Leatherwood, especially if you're drafting in the late 20s to 30s. If you're drafting at 32, you're not going to get an Alex Leatherwood, in my opinion, in the 5th or 6th round. He's a guy that could be developed. He's a guy that meets a need that the Bengals have. And I feel like even though they value those picks, I would be totally down with giving up a late round pick for Alex Leatherwood. Zim, what are your thoughts on Leatherwood? Should the Bengals pursue him? Should they not? Is there a better option out there?
Hell, I mean, bro, no stone unturned. Like if Alex Leatherwood, the staff feel like they can work with him, whatever. I'm not an offensive line guru or whatever. I just know coming out, I thought he'd be a good prospect that I would take a chance on. I don't know what has transpired since then. It hasn't been that long for a guy to fall fully out of favor for. So I do question that. I think the question really is, what do you give up for him when you already know that this guy could potentially be cut anyway, which is kind of crazy for a 1st-round pick. But that was another rumor I read, is that he could potentially, it'd be a Lael type situation where do you even have to give up anything? And then from a Leatherwood standpoint, what is he looking for? And, you got to make sure that those things match up with your team. If it's very low draft equity or whatever, I'll take a flyer on it. I don't have a problem with that. We need depth. We need everything that we can. I think the one thing that I think we put to bed for the most part this offseason was this offensive line thing. Carmen hasn't worked out. I think most of the fan base is pretty much already moved on from him in a 2-3 week span, because we've seen so much good stuff from Volson. But at the same time, he's a rookie. So that's a variable that I don't like. And I understand that there are growing pains. Leatherwood isn't a perfect prospect, but who is? And I'm here to tell you, like, if you got your nose turned up and saying, we don't need Leatherwood, you're sadly mistaken. Yeah. You don't want to look back later on the season and say the offensive line was a reason why you didn't win as many games as you want to. Let it be something else, but don't let it be offensive line this year. I'm done with that conversation. For sure.
And we got 125 people live watching this right now. Appreciate you. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us something in the chat. We got the live chat popping off right now. We will put one of your comments up there if you do want to holler at us. Also, be sure to hit that notification bell because that way you know whenever we go live. And you're not only just going to get the Wincinnati podcast, you're going to get Bengals Post, you're going to get the 513 with our man Just Eric, and you're going to get the new Wincy with our man G Money. So definitely be sure to tap in. He just did a dope breakdown on the college football kind of side of things, the AP coaches poll. So definitely be tapped in here to the Wincinnati podcast. We're going to give you all of the latest Bengals news and analysis. But there's another guy. I wasn't a fan of this guy. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. That actually requested a trade. Denzel Mims is asking the Jets to trade him. There was once a time where some Bengals fans wanted him over T. Higgins. I wasn't in that majority. I was in the minority because I wanted T. But what is this thing? What do you think about Denzel Mims asking for a trade? Like, do you think he could go to a Baltimore, a Ravens? I don't think the Bengals obviously have this need for him. I don't think he would want to come here because he would not be getting on the field here with the three receivers that we have and maybe even Trent Taylor. Where do you think he goes? And is he a guy that you're looking at if you do want to bring him to Cincinnati?
Respectfully, I'm so good at we were literally arguing over what 6 wide receivers do you bring, and we got our own wide receiver issue problem right now. If it's gonna be a person that unseats the 6th person on this roster, as far as like, is it Mike Thomas or is it Kwame Lassiter or Pryor or whatever, between those 3 or whatever? Denzel Mims couldn't come in here and offer anything above what those dudes are offering. Maybe the upside of what he was originally supposed to be, but I think the guys that we got have worked their butt off. I think they're balling. Trent Taylor is a guy that we didn't bring up, but had the strong camp. I look for him to do some work coming up this preseason game, whatever. I like what we got. You never know what tomorrow holds. Somebody could get dinged up, something happen, and maybe you need a guy like that. But I wouldn't be looking to trade for Denzel Mims when I know that this last cut deadline is coming up and it's going to be some guys out there. You still got, like, if you really wanted a game changer, you still got like the Will Fullers of the world that are just still sitting there. And as we talked about on the show before, ad nauseum, like OBJs and stuff. So Denzel Mims, to me, like the upside, like the upside on him just isn't enough to move the needle for me to trade for him. Like, I'm not like take a flyer on him, sure, but I don't know. But I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. Like, even Pryor had a big catch yesterday at the first day of camp, and this is going against the defending Super Bowl champions or whatever. I don't really worry about them young dudes. I think, like, in big spots, sure, but I think they earned it. They worked hard enough to not be unseated by some random dude that hasn't worked out.
Yeah, man. Abel Hennessy has a comment. Do we keep Lassiter over Pryor? For me, I think it's a ping pong effect with those two guys. Obviously, Lassiter does play a different role on special teams, right? He's a returner and things like that. But I think that those guys, for me, it's too hard to pick between the two. I think whoever is the most consistent, possibly. But if you have guys out here like Denzel Mims requesting to be traded, guys that are going to get cut, I think that they would still possibly be okay to try to risk that practice squad spot with putting both of those guys there. But I think if Denzel Mims decides to go to the Ravens, he's going to get cooked. That's all I'm going to tell you. He's going to get cooked like our friends over at Midwest Best Barbecue, which we will be there very soon, touching down to get some of those brisket fries, some of those sour cream and onion wings, and, of course, the lovely Uno wings. So we'll get into that commercial next.
Wings, Jimmy's got you with them Uno wings. Uno wings, they tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the grenade. The Uno wings will make you do the grenade. Uno wings, come and get them Uno wings. Uno wings, who they gonna beat them Uno wings, Jimmy's got you with them Uno wings. Uno wings. Tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the grenade. The Uno wings will make you do the grenade.
one of the biggest regrets, bro, was not shooting that video that first time where we had the event at Midwest Best Barbecue. In terms of the food, we recorded the event, but we didn't record that beautiful spread that was given to us afterwards.
No, check this out. I went back with my wife one time and I did record the spread. And I posted some of the videos sometimes. I had one of my biggest regrets is not listening to Ryan. Ryan keeps on telling me backstage that he cannot get enough of this AB song. So Tim, if you're listening from Midwest, if you can make a variation with AB's dance or whatever, Ryan would gladly appreciate that. I think like we got to work on that, Tim.
For sure. Tim, we will be seeing you soon, my friend. And you can visit Tim today, tomorrow, whenever you want to. 669 Justice Court in Loveland. Tell him that Ace and Zim sent you there. But let's talk about the game coming up Saturday. What to watch for me? Alan George, bro. I'm not just saying that because he was on the Bengals Post podcast or any of that. I remember watching him the first game. He got a touchdown, I believe, called on him. And I was like, as a former corner, you're going to get beat sometimes. It's how you bounce back. It's how you keep that mental fortitude. And ever since that play in the first game, Alan George has just honestly been on fire. He's a guy, like, when I think about it, and I talked about it on my channel, New Stripe City, he's a guy that I feel like potentially you keep over a Jalen Davis. Not that Jalen Davis is playing bad or anything like that, but you got to think about the position that Jalen Davis plays, right? He's a smaller guy. He's 5'8". He's probably only going to play in the nickel, but you already have Mike Hilton. You already have Dax Hill, who are guys that you would throw in the nickel over him. You also had Trey Flowers, a guy that you would also play in the nickel over him. So when you look at it from that standpoint, you kind of need guys until CTB gets healthy to put on the outside. And I feel like what Alan George is putting together from what we've seen in these two practices, this last game, I'm keeping my eye on him this weekend for this game to see if he does something to get into this roster. Another guy that I'm looking at, Jeff Gunter. Had an amazing first game, little quiet the second game. I think he still had plays where he was able to get into the backfield. He just didn't expect to be in those places against a Tyrod Taylor. So he kind of was like shocked. He was doing some things that I saw from our boy Khalid Kareem that he did his rookie season where he didn't expect to be in front of a Lamar Jackson and guess right. And he kind of hesitated a bit. So I want to see what Gunter does to add on to that. Outside of that, obviously Cordell Volson, how much is he going to play? With this being the third game, I'm almost wondering what guys are actually going to play, right? Like, I don't see us really having too many starters, but this is a different kind of situation. But guys like that are ones that I'm paying attention to. Of course, I board Khalid Kareem as well, what he does. Tyler Shelvin hasn't really showed much. I think he's really on the bubble. Honestly, I think that he's in jeopardy of losing his spot unless he shows something in this game. I think he only was in one snap the first game, played the last game, really got blown off the ball a lot during that time. So, like, those are some of the guys that I will probably be looking at in terms of players. Zim, are there any players or any things that you're just looking for in general that you'll be watching in the preseason game on Saturday?
I think Volson, maybe they'll play him a little bit or whatever, just for him to continuously look strong, go out there a couple quarters, just get his feet wet. Like, I really want to lock that battle down. Maybe they give Carmen like a full day, a full game or whatever at left guard itself too. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But yeah, going back to the corner thing, what would really bum me out? Mm-hmm. What if I told you Alan George and Jalen Davis? But I'm gonna tell you why. Mm-hmm. If they have to, like, if with this CTB core injury, if they have to like put him on, the PUP list to miss at least 4 games, then you would carry George and our boy, and Jalen Davis.
And Jalen Davis.
I feel what you're saying as far as like, I feel like Alan George, that's how he would get on. Because he's not a slot, like every single time, like he does good work on the outside or whatever. I don't think they believe in him as a slot corner at all. So you need somebody behind Mike Hilton in that regard, right. unless you just say.
I personally think it's Dax, right? Because you have
right.
So this is my thing. So if you do take Eli Apple out and you take Allen George out, who's playing on the outside?
Right. They've had Jalen on the outside, but that was a while ago. It was a small sample size. Remember the Browns game? Like, oh God. The one where Darius Phillips starts on the outside and whatever. But I don't know. That is a rough situation. That's why I feel like the Bengals probably bring another guy in. But at the same time, you got to think Trey Flowers, though, is going to be the guy that they go like in all the reps and everything that we've been looking at so far. Trey Flowers has been the other outside guy. While now that Eli's been out with the quad and Trey Flowers was balling, him and Allen George were the stars of yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you on that. Another position, quarterback, man. Brandon Allen got a lot of time last week. I was kind of surprised that he got so much time and we didn't get to see our man Plitt or much of Jake Browning. And when we did, it was against, with a right side of the line that was essentially decimated. So we'll see that. You talked about Chrisman. I think Chrisman versus Huber, that's definitely a big thing to look forward to in this game. Are they going to play Dax Hill? I don't know. Like, for me,
they should.
They should not play him. They should not play him in this game at all.
I'm done seeing Dax Hill and Chris Evans, bro.
I swear. See Jesse Bates? Do you need to see Jesse or no? Nope, I don't need to see Jesse.
And if I'm Jesse Bates, it's part of the reason I held out. Like, I'm not trying to risk my performance for this year under any regard. I'd rather come into the season rusty and healthy than me being dinged up or whatever. Like, if I get hurt during the season or something like that, then so be it. At least I get more games on film. And for where he's at and what he needs to do for this upcoming season, auditioning for his next team or whatever, I don't know. Like, if I'm Jesse, I wouldn't step out. I think I would make it clear to them, like, hey, I don't think it's in our best interest to even play in the preseason game. I want to come here early just to get in the rhythm, get my conditioning and stuff straight. He made it very clear he's going to be ready for week 1, and that's good enough for me. Our buddy Sands, if y'all get a chance to check this out, it's crazy. I was talking about this morning. If they get a chance, and Sands wrote an article on this, Bengals Sands is his name on Twitter. If you guys get a chance to write it up, he shows different variations of cover 1 robbers and cover 1 looks that would benefit Jesse Bates and take a lot of that wear and tear stuff where he's trying to fill in the box and stuff, where you're allowed to have a lot of 2-man looks where you got Von Bell a little bit closer. But Jesse Bates is just allowed to free range and do what he wants. Dax Hill and these big dime packages will be able to do what he needs to do as well and fill holes and make those open field tackles. And I think that works a lot in Jesse Bates' favor too. That'll kind of keep him healthy throughout the season. And his closing speed on a lot of stuff is crazy. So I think it's a very strategic plan that they could put together that would actually make him look really freaking good. Because the only knock on Jesse Bates to me is always like the tackling at spots. You think about, like, I think about that Browns game where he gets washed by like Treader and all them dudes like that. And there's different spots that I could point to where I'm like, oh, he doesn't look like an elite safety. But anytime it's like range type stuff, he's all over it. So I think they can come up with a good plan for him.
Yeah, I don't think you need him from preseason game week 3. I think you need him from week 1 through 3, the Cowboys game, the New Orleans game. And speaking of those games, we also partner with Fans of Cincy, where if you're looking to book a trip, whether it's to Jerry's World, you need your hotel booked, you need your flight booked, you need your spot at the game booked, you need your tailgating secure, definitely be sure to check them out because you can secure that today for a minimum deposit. So definitely be sure to visit them on fansofcincy.com. Me and Zim are definitely going to be heading to the New Orleans game, doing some dope stuff with them. So if you want to link up with us in the NO, definitely be sure to do that. And they're also, like I said, going to be doing the Dallas trips as well as the Tampa one. If y'all want to come down to my neck of the woods down here in Florida, the Tampa game, the Brady versus Burrow, you don't want to miss that. But you definitely don't want to miss that New Orleans and all of that game either. So definitely tap in with Fans of Cincy. You can find them at fansofcincy.com. And you can also find links for their stuff on my Twitter at New Stripe City, Zim's Twitter at Zim Hude. And then you can also find a lot of those Twitter spaces, videos, and all of that that stuff. So definitely be sure to tap in with us. But you can also find us here on the Wincinnati podcast every Tuesday and Thursday. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcast at, whether that's Stitcher, whether that's Spotify, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Google Podcasts. You literally can find us there and here on video, where you can come in, live chat, answer our questions, or give your questions to us and have us answer them for you, and tap in with us. But we appreciate you guys, and thank you for listening to the
Hold on, real quick.
Go ahead.
People don't know Ace can drink a little bit. So if you think you could drink with the big dog, come on out to New Orleans and have a drink with us. You can drink like a champion.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Them can
you really
too.
want see me at the tailgate. If you really a savage like that, and you really living that life, and you really about who you say you are, come and drink with the king, Ace.
Yes, sir. Come drink with the kings of the Wincinnati podcast.
Yes, sir. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Wincinnati, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time, man. Yeah. Shock the world.